It's a Thurston County Amateur Barbecue Cook-Off. Now's your chance to bring your backyard barbecue skills into a local county-wide competition and see just how good it really is with the first annual Thurston County Amateur Barbecue Cook-Off competition. Just think, you could have a shot at prizes and recognition and have a great time as well. All the proceeds go to AFAB World. Go to afabworld.org or call 754-2868 for all the information. Preliminary rounds are forming now. It's the Thurston County Amateur Barbecue Cook-Off.
Anyway, you do have a farm map. I think it's put out by a land trust. Is that right? Is Extension involved in putting this together? Do something? Oh, good. Okay, good. Okay, so this panel, there we go. This panel will have a different focus. These folks represent organizations that can provide assistance and be resources for you. So what we will have them do is introduce themselves and their organization that they're with. And again, no more than 10 minutes of the services and how they can interface with you or others in the county to help make agritourism a bigger part of the local economy. So my colleague, who is brand new with WSU Extension, he's my counterpart here in Thurston County, Lucas Patrick, how do you say that? Patrick. Lucas Patrick is going to lead off, and Lucas and I talked, and I may jump in a time or two since I worked with WSU and have been at it a long time, and he's a brand new newbie. So Lucas, take it away.
Thank you, Curtis. Thanks for coming, everybody. This is a tough way to spend your Saturday. So I'm a newbie. I just started a month ago on the job. I've been at Wazoo up at Mount Vernon Research and Extension Center. And I'll just quickly explain what Extension is. It's kind of an odd cooperation between federal, state, county, and nonprofits, all sorts of people working together. The point of Extension is to connect the public with the resources of the university, the land-grant university, which in this state happens to be Washington State University. And although it's traditionally thought of as an agricultural thing, it actually runs many different programs. So there's WSU Energy, there's tech, there's water resources, there's forestry, and there's a lot of expertise. So there's a presence in every county, and tribes will have agents as well, specialists. And then so I'm the Thurston County Director, and I actually happen to be an agricultural specialist, so I'll be working mostly with the farms. So in terms of resources, WSU has a lot of resources. So, there's one level which is just the research-based expertise that WSU professors are creating, or extension professionals are actually doing out in the field. And that could be everything from picking varieties of corn for corn maze, irrigation specialists, weed people to deal with weed problems. We have a weed specialist, Tim up in Mount Vernon, a great guy. So there's just a tremendous amount of resources around, natural resources, farming, soil fertility, and so forth. We publish a lot, and so the publication that Curtis brought is published in-house through WSU, through our publishing house, and that's available at pubs.wsu.edu. And there's a tremendous amount of publications that are available on there. What you have to purchase is books, essentially, or booklets on a tremendous variety of topics.
Most of the publications coming out now, the new ones, are only being done electronically, and they're not for purchase. You download them as PDFs. Mine, they had them up as PDFs, but they had some in inventory, so now you have to buy them. But I would say half to 2/3. Again, it's pubs, like British drinking establishments, pubs.wsu.edu, and there are hundreds or thousands of publications on there, and it's about half of them or more are available for a free download. Some of them you do have to purchase.
And then, so added to that, there's actually many publications that are more just downloadable PDFs, not necessarily published through the publishing house. So for instance, if you go to WSU Mount Vernon's website, or WSU Puyallup, which are regional research and extension centers, and they have scientists based there that are doing research based there. And they will often publish all sorts of things and make them downloadable on the websites, or their educational videos, and so forth. Now the next level is kind of classroom teaching. And so that's something that I'll be exploring. My program is very new. But there's many types of workshops, for instance, something like this where we cooperate with various regional partners and we help make things like this happen. We do classroom teaching around agriculture or business development, and there's a great program that WSU, I think U of I, and nonprofit Rural Roots can develop, which is Cultivating Success. And it's for new and beginning farmers and ranchers, and it's everything from the business side of things, which Curtis can maybe touch on a little bit if you're more familiar with that, to the actual production side, so farm planning, you know, on up to how to fertilize, how to do all that. And that's a part that I've previously been a part of, so I've taught the soil management modules up at Mount Vernon. We haven't had one here in a little while, so I'm working on getting something started regionally here where we'll be teaching that sort of program here. We'll also probably be doing special workshops, and this comes from the public's interests and desires, what the community demands of us. So if people are approaching me and saying, you know, I want workshops on ciders, well, I'll say, okay, well, you know, Gary Moulton up in Mount Vernon is one of the world specialists on orchard management. He's already doing workshops up in Mount Vernon, so we'll bring him down here. He then is connected with world famous winemakers, cider makers. He'll connect us to those people who will come here and teach winemaking classes. He knows the business side of things, or will connect us to people. So we'll have all sorts of workshops just on cider making, if that's of interest to folks. So really the sky's the limit there. Now the next level is research, and I will be running a research program focused on farms. And again, that will somewhat depend on what the community here demands of me, what is of interest to people, and a little bit based on what my background is too, and what I feasibly can do. But then I will partner with many regional scientists at WSU Puyallup. And I've done everything from on-farm breeding research, testing varieties, right, to fertility studies, looking at nitrogen management, to diseases, you know, so again, real practical stuff. To surveys, to identifying information needs, marketing needs. I'm very interested in direct marketing, so I did a survey of growers in Western Washington, and this was specifically small grain growers, and looked at how are people direct marketing, and are people interested in connecting directly with bakers, with brewers, with distillers. So anyway, our office is here on Harrison, Mud Bay Road. I will have my card available if anybody wants that. You know, we have an office that you can stop by, you can call me, you can email me. And my role will be to connect you to the expertise. You know, I will only have a small chunk of some sort of expertise, and then, you know, as questions arise, I will then connect you to a weed scientist, or an entomologist, or a more marketing economics person.
So your office is the former fire department?
Yeah, it's the former fire department, which is now Harrison. I think it was Mud Bay Road until not very long ago, right on the border of Olympia before it's unincorporated county.
I guess about the only thing I would add is that, and I want to, the thing to realize again is that it's, you know, really a model that's been incorporated around the world of having, you know, land-based or land-grant university types like such as WSU having offices in virtually every county and locale. And, you know, a lot of people expect the extension agents to know everything. I know most things, but not everything. No, you know, there's no way. So we are part of a network. You know, and I'm glad because we can plug you into not only people at our university, but I have connections at universities all over the country. And so including agritourism people, I've done major conferences, and I know dozens of people around the country who do various things. So that's kind of our role, is to be that facilitator, that interface. The other thing that I would just mention is that we do have what's called the WSU Small Farms Team, which is the group that worked with the University of Idaho to create the Cultivating Success curriculum. And that's pretty unique, actually. And we have about 30 or so faculty members, both research and extension people around the state. And agritourism is one of those activities. And again, I'm sort of, and even though I'm a county-based faculty, and all of us are taking on more regional and statewide responsibilities, that's why I came. So I'm available. I'm in Okanagan County now, offices in OMAC. I only brought a handful of business cards. I think I've got 4 more left. If you really desperately want one, I'll give you one. But if you want to find any of us, go to the extension website, which is ext.wsu.edu. And it'll say locations, click on it, and then there'll be a list of all the counties. Click on the county you want to find, and you'll find us. So you can find Lucas that way if you can't remember how to get in touch with him. or me or anyone else. So
And I'll just quickly add that it's thurston.wsu.edu will forward you to our website as
yeah,
well.
that's true. Yeah. Go ahead, Ryan. Yeah, Carol.
Glad to be here. My name is Daryl Monroe. I'm with the Thurston Economic Development Council Business Resource Center. I'm a newbie as well. This is my first conference, and if you can tell, I kind of overdressed. But that's okay, it's all good. I'm very excited to be here. The Business Resource Center has been around for 20 years, established by the Thurston Economic Development Council for one purpose, to be a resource for business owners. And we want to be the one-stop resource center. So what that means is we want to be able to connect you to the resources, workshops, programs, counseling that you need. And within our resource center, we have several key areas. First, we're established with community partners that do offer the various workshops tailor-made for specific programs. We also house the Small Business Development Center, and the director there, their sole purpose is to provide free counseling to businesses. We also have the SCORE representatives, and one of the newest SCORE members was Celia that Lisa mentioned, who works for Labor and Industry, so very good resources there. They're designed to help in the early phases of startup. So in other words, if you have questions as to business related, the areas that Dr. Buse showed in the presentation, all these wonderful ideas, if you need to run some of those by, you want to have someone to pass these ideas, calculate some numbers, crunch some numbers without having to get involved in a full class, maybe that's not what you need, we want to help you. So we're located in Lacey, and I don't even know the address yet. It's off of College Street, 665 Woodland Square Loop. We are open to the public. We are setting up a brand new area on the bottom floor of the building in the West Coast Bank building. And if you have questions, we'd love to help you. We're here to serve you. It's the Thurston Economic Development Council, and the Business Resource Center was created by the Thurston EDC, pardon me. My supervisors are here. They told me this was part of my interview process. Just kidding. The Thurston Economic Development Council, they set up 20 years ago this Business Resource Center. It's a separate 501c. It's its own organization supported by the EDC, and that's why we exist, to serve the business population.
I would just add that in most EDCs, and it's the same here, are co-housed with, you mentioned Small Business Development Center. I've worked with a number of these people around the country when I was in Texas and here and other places. Great resource. They're there, they shouldn't anyway write a business plan for you, but they will coach you so that you can write a business plan. If you've never done anything like that before, they'll give you templates. Again, you can run ideas by them, they can help you with the financials, and that. It's a free resource. So please take advantage of it, and you're co-housed with them, correct?
Yes, that's true, and thank you for reminding me, one key thing I forgot, we have a business library there. How could I forget that? A business library with lots of books, resources, templates, guides that you can come in and check out. We also house, for Washington, the PTAC, which is the Procurement Technical Assistance Center for individuals trying to market to the government, sell products to the various government agencies. We have specialists that work in that as well. So lots of resources. We want to connect you to the people, get you the help that you need. So please utilize this.
Good afternoon. My name is Lisa Smith, and I'm the executive director of a nonprofit called Enterprise for Equity. And so we are very much like our partners on the panel, but different in a little small way. So the nutshell of what we do every day is help people with limited incomes start small businesses. So we really work with a more of a lower income community of people, but also those who are just starting out and have really small micro enterprises, small sole proprietorships, and we help them kind of walk through the process of writing a business plan. And then we're also a micro lender, so we offer microloans of $25,000 and under. And so what I would just say for you all, just to be aware of, is that we have incredible resources in this Thurston County area. So not only does Daryl here run the Small Business Resource Center, but he is linked up with the Economic Development Council with Michael Cade, right? So Michael Cade helps with bringing major infrastructure together so that those small businesses that are ready to grow can build all of the resources they need to grow in a major way. And he is linked up with counties all over our region. So, and then also WSU is like a powerhouse of resources, as well as George. The critical thing that I'd love you to know is that it's not only that we have amazingly strong organizations, but that we all relate and connect with each other. So what's unique is that, I mean, I would say not all counties, but some counties don't really talk to each other very much, and they don't really link their resources together, and they're not really oriented toward that. We are very different. So in Thurston County, our organization has been around for about 10 years. We have about 11 trainers, and really we do 3 major comprehensive business training programs a year. And we want to work with the person in a very intense way for a very short amount of time to ensure that they really get through the process and they have a business plan at the end that they have written, they understand, they're going to use, they understand cash flow, they understand break even, they understand what their market is and how to reach them. They have an operations strategy so they know how the product's going to get made, distributed, right? So we want to really have a high or intense hands-on relationship with these entrepreneurs. And when they're done, where do we send them? We send them right here, right to the EDC so that they can grow to that next level. So one quick thing I'd like to mention is in 2009, actually before that, we had a bunch of farmers coming through our program. You know, we had farm stand operators and farmers and beekeepers, and you know, we did the best we could because we work with piano tuners and dog trainers and web designers. But we had these farmers come and we didn't, we're great with business planning, but we didn't know anything about farming. So we called WSU Extension. We didn't call him because he wasn't here yet. But we talked to Kirsten Workman, who was his kind of counterpart in Mason County. We said, how can we figure this out? Because we have an increased demand of farm commodities, locally grown, organic produce, but the farmers don't have the business capacity to really meet that demand. So we partnered with her, took a year to kind of commingle their training program, their Cultivating Success, with our very comprehensive business training program. So we have this agripreneurship training program we do once a year. We're finishing up this year. And Kirsten was our farm planning partner in all the farm specific stuff because we don't know that stuff. And then we have our business trainers who do that very intense business plan. So we have 10 out of 10 farmers finish with a completed business plan every time. 10 out of 10, 12 out of 12, 8 out of 8. And what we know is that when they're done, they have this expert at WSU to lead them to that next place. So it's a tremendous asset for our community. We call it a food, fish, and farm-based business planning program. So even we work with small forest landowners who want to create a business income from maybe the products in the understory of their forest, or they want to sustainably harvest wood from their land. So anything that comes from the land is a part of what we would consider agripreneurship training, and that includes that agritourism piece of income. Does that make sense? Right, so the last thing I just want to say is that we have an opportunity to learn more about our program. We have entrepreneurs graduating. It's free if you want to come. You can buy a lunch if you want, but it's the sweetest thing you'll ever see. It's not a fundraiser, and it's on June 12th, and I'd like to talk a little bit more about that later. I'm done. Fine. Thank you.
Thanks for staying to the end. I'm George Sharp. I'm the head cheerleader for Thurston County Tourism. Through the Olympia Lacey Tumwater Visitor and Convention Bureau, our slogan is serving all of Thurston County a little bit beyond. We put heads in beds, butts in seats, and feet on the street to make the cash register cha-ching. We do that through marketing, public relations, and product development. And what the resource that we provide to you is destination marketing outside of Thurston County. When you're ready to be marketed, we're your partner to do that. And a great example of that is Latins. We've worked with Carolyn for a long time, and we've done a couple of things where we pitch her story to media outside of Thurston County. We've just...
Big help. It's a big help. I just can't say thank you enough.
Thank you, Carolyn. But the example is you take one of the organizations out there, and we work with you to say what's your distinct selling position, what is unique about you, and then we position that out. We reach out to media, both state and national, to try to tell our story. And again, what makes Thurston County different, and we differentiate ourselves from other places. And we do that with Latins. Another thing that we recently did with Latins, that we started a weekly Thurston County segment called Thurston County Thumbs Up Experience. We videotape Carolyn talking about her business. We post that onto a new Facebook page, put it on our website, put it on our YouTube channel, and then our partner, DiscoverThurston.com, does that as well. So thinking about the folks that were in the room today, we need to go do one off Lake as well. And Clyde Dales will be another opportunity that we can go do that as well. So what I need from you is story ideas of what you think makes us different, unique, etc., that we can position out as well. The other resource that we have is we have ThurstonThumbsUp.com as a website. That's linked to visitolympia.com. We also own visittumwater.com, visitlacey.com. We own wineweekend.com. And we utilize these different URLs to try to track how our advertisings work so we can make decisions what's working well and what's not. Another thing we just created 2 weeks ago is a new Facebook page called Thurston County Thumbs Up Experience, where you can actually go online and post pictures of your business with the thumbs up so people can see your business. We're also giving away a weekly prize right now. Last week's prize was an overnight stay at the Guest House Suites and a $20 gift certificate to Pellegrino's. This week's prize is 2 dozen apple fritters from Carolyn's. And she didn't know that. I'm paying for them, Carolyn. But I'm utilizing unique places. If you have something that you know when Clyde and Dales, if you want to do one, you want to do a Christmas tree when we get closer to the Christmas season, but it's a great way for you to market your business as well. The other thing is we have a newsletter that goes out twice a month to over 5,000 people. So when you're ready to be told your story, we can help that as well. And then the last resource I just bring to the table is about 37 plus years in the tourism industry, starting when I was 14 in a fishing pond at Lake Easton Resort. Before that, I had a lot of sales experience, being a top candy bar salesman 3 years in a row in the Tri-Cities. But the things that I've learned, because I had parents that were entrepreneurs, so we had entrepreneur my whole life and what that is. And so I've owned a motel, a restaurant, a balloon store. I've ran the Chamber of Commerce for 8 years. I worked for the State Department of Commerce, tourism, where I went around to the state and taught other communities and other businesses how do I get visitors to come, whether it was through marketing, product development, or public relations as well. So I do bring that experience, and I'm more than willing to sit down for an hour, normally over a meal, as you can see, and just brainstorm through your business of what is it you're doing, and then here are ways to tweak it. If you're a festival or event in our community, I do that with our festival events as well. And what I really try to do with them is start before their budgeting starts to see where I can save them money, and then also say where can we leverage resources, where can we identify future sponsors, and how do we do the business better than I think everybody in Thurston County should know how to do their own public relations in Thurston County. We're your partner to know how to do it outside of Thurston County at this region, state, and national and international level. Thank you.
Okay, so you've got a unique opportunity with 4 of our really good resource people who represent networks and others and agencies and nonprofits and all sorts of things. So, questions for these folks? on, don't be shy. Go ahead.
George, can you talk a little bit about why you got involved in the ag tourism and what's next steps?
Well, I was hoping that Sandra was going to do next steps, but I'll tell you the next steps that are in my mind,
Okay.
and Sandra will tell the rest of the next steps, because we talked about that as part of tourism. As I did the Washington State Tourism Office, I worked there for 10 years, and I did ag tourism in other counties. I went to Chelan County and helped them get their ag tourism up and running. They have the Cascade Footlands Farmland Association, where I met with them, talked of what they needed to do, the things they need to do to bring the people together in that. So I had that experience. I worked in Snohomish County. I gave a $10,000 grant called the Great Idea Grant Program, which brought their ag, over 350 growers together. They created their own farm map and created an itinerary. And before they got on the website, they created a map first. They started the signage, etc. And I did the same thing in Klickitat County as well to bring those together. So I had that ag tourism experience.
Hey, George,
Awesome.
didn't you get money when we did that ag tourism conference in Yakima?
Yeah, I did the
You
very
helped fund
first
that as
ag
well.
tourism conference in Washington State and put that on in Yakima. We brought Ellen Rolla from UC Davis to there. I worked with the Leadership Forestry Group, Washington State Leadership Forestry Group. It was a project of theirs, and I did a $10,000 grant to that as well. And,
You forgot about that, didn't you?
I did it. Curtis was actually my livestock judging coach at WSU in 1981. We went to San Francisco together. The first time I'd ever seen at a KFC where you had to put your money in and they turned the thing, you know, it was like this. I was a hick from Benton City. I said, "What is this?" We were good. So anyway, so I'd seen ag tourism work in other places, and I wanted to help make it work here in Thurston County. And when I took over 17 months ago in the Visitor Adventure Bureau, they were already at work doing something at it. So I just tried to come to the table and help lend some expertise and a little bit of enthusiasm on that and say, well, how do we move this forward? So next steps in my mind, we were waiting for the Ag Tourism Overlay District to get created so that we could say the next steps is to create an inventory of who wants to play at the table. We wanted to do an Ag Tourism Workshop so we understood a little bit more what it was about. I knew Curtis had done a lot, so we wanted to bring Curtis to the table too. So the next steps is bringing the partnership to the table. We have a monthly meeting, so people are welcome to come to that monthly meeting. We want to talk about signage and a map. We like the map that's already created, so how do we make that more visitor-friendly map? We also want to bring in technology, such as QR codes, where you scan it, pops up, more information about each farm that's out there, and just start to move it forward that way and see what other resources are available. There are also grants and other things that we can start to apply for now that we have an overlay district and start putting an ag tourism plan together. And ag tourism is not just the overlay district, it's for the whole county and what can happen. But the overlay district was an opportunity just to get a starting point. Let's see how it works, what needs to be tweaked, what are the frequently asked questions about that, and then let's move it forward so that it benefits everybody in the county as well. Does that kind of fit me?
That's it. Thanks.
I'll give you $5 later for planting that question.
I'd like to, if I could follow up just on what George said, because there was somebody who we hoped to have on the panel and she wasn't able to make it. And that's Sue Davis from the Washington State Department of Agriculture. Sue attended a class I did a few weeks or a couple months ago on agritourism, and that's the first time I'd met her. I know some of her colleagues pretty well. She was in the Small Farm Direct Marketing Program, that got eliminated, but she's still there, and they're actually still doing some of the work through the, what's it called, the Public Outreach, division of
Well, I was surprised because I thought the whole program had died, and I didn't realize that there was somebody alive and kicking to partner with. And so for you bringing to our table, we worked with them last year in March, and we did what was called their Saver program.
Right.
And we brought them all to town. We went through the whole county. We did a workshop here at the fairgrounds. A great thing came out of it. So now to know
they had a
somebody's alive.
grant called program called Saver Washington, and there's still a great, in fact, I would really highly encourage you, Google those words, Saver Washington. It should be the first thing that pops up. And they have done what they call these agri-culinary itineraries.
We have them here.
Yeah, there's one for here. There's about 12 of them. In fact, Sue just told me they're going to come up the Okanagan now that I'm up there, and they're going to do one up north central Washington. Again, visiting farms, restaurants that serve local foods, and so forth, to get literally the flavor, savor the flavor, if you will, of a certain area. But I wanted to mention, Sue and I are currently talking, and I'm pretty confident we're going to be putting together a grant proposal, and if George and your group want to support us, The idea is we would like to develop a statewide website that is searchable at a state level, at a regional level, by activity, by commodity, by product, in all kinds of ways. So if somebody's going to go to the South Sound area, they can just go there. Or if they're going to go to, the Walla Walla wine country, they can go there. But it becomes a one-stop shop clearinghouse for agritourism. If they're interested in farm stays, they can search by farm stays. If they're interested in corn mazes, they can search by corn mazes and things like that. So anyway, just want to be aware that we're really serious about WSDA and WSU partnering to develop this resource database, which will be, it'll be a database, but the interface will be through the internet. And in fact, if you want to see kind of what we're modeling after, if you again want to Google UC Davis Agritourism, University of California Davis, he mentioned Ellen Rilla, who is probably one of the foremost experts in agritourism in the country. She's in again, UC Davis. They have developed a really good interactive website that will take you all over the state of California. Just drag the cursor over different areas, click, and it's going to tell you what there is to do in that area and help you develop itineraries and programs and so forth. So that's what we hope to do for Washington. And so we really need to work with local and regional partners to get that done. Just wanted to, since Sue's not here to talk about that, I thought I would mention that. Go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, I wanted to maybe not change the subject, but enhance it a bit. I'm curious about the people who are here. We have demand by farmers who want to add value to the products, can or make jelly or whatever. And so one of the areas that we'd like to learn more about, expand, or understand more is how can we create the infrastructure in our county or neighboring counties where there can be a kitchen where processing can happen easily and quickly so that those jars of jelly can be produced back. So that's one piece. And then it is related to agriculture. And then the other piece is, how do we help raise awareness in our county, in our region, for the grocery stores, the restaurants, the school districts, and to buy more of these locally grown products, so that access to new markets. So those are two areas that we're keenly working on right now. Would love to partner and explore that more, but curious if anybody here is interested in that piece. First two.
Here and then there.
One difficulty that we've encountered in terms of researching and digging up ideas for value-added situations is the maze of regulations and permits and applications necessary. Do you have a one-stop shop where we can go and say, here are some of the ideas, what's required, permit, cost, application-wise, time-wise, whatever. What are the difficulties and the roadblocks? Because it seems that every time we have an idea, we go to a particular place and they go, well, you can't do that because of this. Or you have another idea trying to get around it or whatever. No, I'm sorry, you've got this difficulty. We need a single source that we can go to that understands the whole umbrella bailiwick that can help us get where we want to go.
What would be great is if it could be consistent by county, by city, but it's not. So what I would just say, I'm going to hand it over to this guy on the end because he really knows a lot. But I have been learning just a little bit more about the value of those regulations. I was opposed to them, angry, frustrated, but there's a real value to why they're there. And if we can help the agencies work together better and align what those requirements are better, it would help a lot. So I'm in agreement with you, but he's got some answers.
So is there a resource?
Is the Green Book still available?
The Green Book, it is available online as a PDF. That's just for the State Department of Agriculture. Well, no, they talk about some other, but not the county, because every county is unfortunately somewhat different. But the Washington State Department of Agriculture, again, if you go to their website, I think if you Google Green Book, I forget what the actual title of it is anymore. It's a handbook for small farm and direct marketing or something like that. And it's a nice resource. Unfortunately, the last one was printed 2 years ago, and they've been putting it out every 2 years, and I don't think a new one's coming out because of budget cuts. I've been assured that someday they hope to resurrect that project, but the 2009 or 2010 version is still available as a downloadable document. They actually used to give them out for free, printed version, but they're out of stock now. But if you Google Green Book, WSDA Green Book, that should take you to that website. And that is a wealth of information on marketing, on regulations, and a lot of the stuff you're going to have to do on a food-based, farm-based business. But definitely you're still going to have to talk to your county health department and other folks because every place is a little bit different.
Well, and so just, I'm new, so my programs aren't running yet, but something that one of the first things that I started talking about with my colleagues at our extension office was exactly this question, food safety, because that ends up being a huge barrier to small guys coming into the game. We have a wonderful food safety specialist in our office, Anna Edwards, who's the interim director before I came in. She actually just last week was getting some WSU training on these new cottage industry laws and all those new things coming into play. We're going to play around. We're going to have to do some trainings, and we don't know where we're going to go with that, if it's going to be like an online thing, like a webinar, or if we'll do like a workshop or two. But that's and probably, hopefully, partner with various local organizations as well. But that's in the works, because that's just, it keeps coming up. And so, for instance, the new farmers markets, I was just at the West Olympia one, and I've yet to go to the Young one, but I will. And the producers kind of came up and said the same thing, we need help learning about food safety so we can legally sell, not get shut down.
But there are businesses doing it every day, so there is a lot of wealth and understanding of how to do it. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
But it's not just food safety and food health. There's a whole variety. Again, dealing with lodging, dealing with other issues.
You've got zoning, you've got this, you've got that, and you qualify for this one thing, one process, but because of another process, the new cottage kitchen laws, it works great. But it can't be your primary residence, and it has to be your primary, or it has to be your primary residence. But if you're trying to produce and you don't live in that, and it's your guest house, you can't do that. And it's just one thing after another, and you get to the point you just go, enough already.
And so
this is our last gasp, is this workshop. It's been great. I'm re-energized again, so. Woo! Yeah.
Well, and something that comes up with folks who have a darker shade of gray hair is the fact that a lot of people are renting or leasing land, and so this is another issue. And so that came up in the introduction. How many people are not owning the land which they operate? And so, again, the legal issues there, education around that is going to be a big one. So we need to start exploring ways of creatively teaching that, but that's certainly within our capacity as WSU and then with partner organizations to do that.
When you're looking at methods to communicate, keep in mind that a lot of our rural environments don't have broadband.
Do you have an answer though for that? How do we communicate with the folks?
What would you like to? I mean, we'd all like to have one person who's the guru that knows all. I don't know of that exactly, but do you have a copy of the Green Book that George mentioned?
No, but it's.
You need to go online and download a copy. It's like probably 80 or 100 pages, but I definitely think you should get that.
We'll get one for Daryl for the resource centers.
Okay. Super.
I actually have, if they're out, I probably have I might have the last printed copies available, so if you contact, did I give you my business card, Daryl? Okay.
I think I have 5 in my garage.
Do you have a few left, the most recent one? Okay.
Yeah, the most recent.
Okay.
And there was a question, there was a woman back there.
Yes.
You were going to...
Where was the question?
I was going to speak to what you were saying about, being able to get in touch with commercial kitchens and education side and everything on jams and delis and et cetera. The Yelm Farmers Market is under the umbrella of the Yelm Food Cooperative, who has just restructured. They are no longer just a retail store for organic foods. They are also an educational focus, which means that it partners well with other organizations like this in the sense that the whole mission is to begin to teach the idea of sustainability for localities, and therefore the things that we want to do is things like this commercial kitchen operation, where we can teach people, how to preserve, how to do other things like that, and then offer that as that facility for them to do so, and things like that. So there are these, as far as us, to be able to partner with other organizations to be able to offer that resource within our area, but our idea is that we become a model for other areas all over. And so you know, that kind of, and the farmer's market is just another portion of that mission. And what we're trying to build, and we're babies right now in this, and as I think are we all really in the potential. We're babies in the potential of what this can become and what this can mean to our entire area.
But what you're speaking to too is that you are noticing that there are more and more and more people interested in growing food in their garden, in their farm, and they want to package it or they want to can it. They want to learn how to do it, preserve, and then some of them want to sell it. And so if we can create that infrastructure where that can happen, we'll meet more and more of that local demand for local food. So you're answering the call.
Farmers market is that one place where you get 50 people in one day saying, I'd like to sell my eggs, you know, but what do I have to do to go to do that, you know?
Green Book will tell you exactly.
You know,
where it's on that
exactly.
question.
All these questions is where they come to the farmers market for ideas as well as buying local, because they also would like to see themselves sitting on the other side. So, and many of them are economically not sound. I mean, they can't just do it on their own without a little help. And so, thereby being able to partner with these other organizations and us being a basis in our community, be able to bring in those resources as well in our specific area. This could be a real model for many other counties.
Can I just quickly add to this? So I know of one group of farmers who's trying to work with the local granges who all tend to have commercial kitchens in their basement. I mean, the thing to realize is, since we're all just kind of beginning, is to keep your overhead low, just like any smart business. And if you can partner with people who have the infrastructure. Another thing is, this county fair has potentially 2 commercial kitchens, between that one and then another one. There's minor modifications we would have to make to make one of them a fully operational commercial kitchen right now. I was exploring that with our, you know, because this is county run. But it needs to be also the demand from the public who comes and tells us this is what we want. Sometimes you don't know that, though, that those resources are right there under your nose. But start simple, maybe, and get that model going, and maybe then there might be the potential to build your own facility and so forth.
Question in the back.
Yeah, I would encourage, I've been following the new cottage food rule, and I would encourage everybody that's interested in value added to go on the WSBA site, because they just took public comment. It was passed by the legislature last year, but it went into rules, and they took comment from the public all the way up until May 22nd. And they posted, they passed it as it was written, but they posted the comments that people wrote in about the rule and their comments back. And one of the more common comments was, the intention of the law was to be a bridge for those folks who wanted to do value added, they wanted to get into cottage food and do direct sales, but the cost and the hassle and the just lack of know-how of putting in a commercial kitchen was an impediment. So they put this in, this was lobbied to be a bridge to that. But it has a $15,000 gross limit. I mean, that's your gross, and then, you know, what you take from that is, as you can see, it's not really a viable way to get into an income-producing revenue stream for you. But it is meant to be a step, and I would encourage everybody to make the next step, which some of you have talked about, which is to get the county and the local municipalities and public groups that have commercial kitchens to get them put together so that people can come in and rent the space. Because that, to me, is the next step. That step's been talked about a lot, but unless you get people starting to use that cottage food rule and saying, hey, we're maxed out at 15 grand a year, we have to go the next step, but we still can't afford to put in a commercial kitchen, then that's going to be the biggest bridge, is those, you know, garnishing those public resources, like the grains. I think the new West Olympia Farmers Market, those folks are largely behind that effort. But there's churches, there's commercial kitchens all over, and
Connie, could you tell people who you are too, and how I might get a hold of you?
Oh, I'm the manager for the Tumwater Farmers market?
Opening day is Wednesday.
And opening day is Wednesday. Please come down Wednesday. We're open every Wednesday from 11 to 2, June through October.
The one thing I'd like to add to this, I've worked on this issue for a long time. We actually got, when CTED actually had money, and there used to actually be a CTED, some money to do a feasibility study on a shared use commercial kitchen in Clallam County. I could tell you lots of stories about that. But the thing in part of that, we took a fact-finding trip throughout the Northwest. About 6 of us drove over and visited 6 commercial kitchens, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana. And they're really hard to run. Ones that are trying to make a profit anyway, or at least trying to pay their, unless they got, all of them pretty much had grants and stuff to help support them. I really like the idea, for instance, of a public space like a Fairgrounds kitchen or something, and Grange kitchens and things like that, providing, but the problem with most of them, like you just mentioned, especially Grange kitchens, is they're so antiquated. If you're going to do anything commercial that's going to have any unit profit potential, you've got to do it at a scale that's way beyond, you got to have big steam kettles, you've got to have, big convection ovens and things like that that are fairly modern to bake and to cook and to process and can and so forth at a scale, even for a very small entrepreneur to make money. So, you can still work with and help do fundraising and upgrade these kitchens, and that may be better than trying to from scratch, because we found it insurmountable to raise the money and to do what would need to be done to build a new kitchen for Clallam County, and yet we worked around it through something like modernizing a few of the other kitchens and things like that. Yeah.
I think that's a really good point. And I have some concerns with the cottage food rule, because it seems tenuous. It seems like the very first time, even though you've got labeling that is specific to saying this is direct sale, produced in a home kitchen, so somewhat of a buyer beware kind of thing. I'm wondering what's going to happen when the first liability hits, when the first casualty or something happens from tainted or food that's made improperly. But again, I think that there's a need to address this, and this was the initial move. And if we support this and be prepared for when that happens, when that might go away, when it might compromise or bring in more restrictive legislation or more restrictive rulemaking, we've got to have something that is between nothing and a commercial kitchen of your own. So I understand it's hard to get insurance, it's hard to get somebody to manage a commercial kitchen. They are antiquated. Gosh, the Granges, you go to any of the Granges and their kitchens are just, they really need a lot of help, but they're there, and there's a structure, there's a working
fully agree.
thing to work on.
I saw Commissioner Romero nodding her head when Lucas talked about this kitchen, and I don't know what the kitchen's like, but I think counties, things like fairground kitchens, which get used very little, could potentially become great places to help incubate and get started some of these businesses.
Curtis, I promised we'd get everybody out of here at 3 o'clock, and so I want to be respectful of that. We're close to that. I want to have Commissioner Romero an opportunity to wrap up today, but I'd like to know from you any thoughts you've had about what we've done today and what you think our next steps are.
First of all, I told Commissioner Romero, when I read through this new ordinance, or the synopsis of this new ordinance, I told it's extraordinary. I've worked on a similar process like this in Clallam County for about 3 years, and we got nowhere. It still hasn't been, as far as trying to deal with some of these very sticky issues with agriculture, agritourism, value-added, direct sales, and that. And so I think, it's amazing what you've done here. So I think the commissioner and her fellow commissioners and the planning department and everybody else that's been involved in this, I just think it's amazing. I'm going to take this back to my new county in Okanagan and also send copies over to Clallam and so forth. I think you're breaking new ground, and I think that's fabulous. I think there's great potential. You have this, somebody mentioned you're kind of, midway, not quite midway, but between Portland and the I-5 corridor in Seattle, you have so much potential. And like I say, you're positioned in time as well as in space now, to really capitalize. You still have enough rural, you still have, you know, interesting areas and farms and things to visit, as well as the gentleman that's starting the ecotourism business and so forth. So I would just keep the momentum going. I don't know whether this group that helped to develop this ordinance, this document, is staying together, but
They are.
good. I would have a grassroots group, and then again keep that communication and coordination going between the various organizations as well as the grassroots folks. No, I just think it's marvelous. I'm jealous. You guys are doing a good job.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but these chairs really take their toll on your body. So thank you all very much for staying around. And but I also, besides thanking you for coming, I want to thank Dr. Buse very much for coming and giving such a great overview and inspiring all of us. I feel really inspired. I also want to thank George Sharp for being there for as long as he's been in town and really putting this together. It's great to have in our community such talent that is able to organize and inspire. I want to thank Michael, Kay, Tiffany, and Daryl from the Economic Development Council, because they're another resource and really great talent in this small county. We are so lucky. And of course the panelists, Carolyn Latin and her daughter Debbie, who have been helping us on our committee and have been invaluable. And of course from Offutt Lake, you are just great and kind of help us kind of stay focused that we don't want to lose what is special about Thurston County. We just want to make it what is special grow. So thank you very much. And Chanel with the HairNet Foundation, you have, wherever she has just been terrific to draw attention to where all of our environmental treasures are and how we can capitalize and even exploit them in a way. I want to thank, where's Brian Rutledge? He probably headed out from the corn days. He is nicknamed Triple R, and he has just been a delight to work with and very energetic. And Lisa, thank you so much for everything you do to help the small entrepreneurs, because everybody's got to start out somewhere. And that's kind of how we started. We were sitting around the table thinking, oh my goodness, here's the Wino and Tenino Festival. They're making money. They don't even have a sewer. You know, they have no hotel, but they got something going there, and we got to get people there. And so, you know, that's how it kind of started. And then we got to where, oh my gosh, this is so much bigger than we ever expected. Then we started thinking, you know, those people in Napa Valley had to start somewhere. I bet they were all sitting around a table scratching their heads and thinking, you know, how can we make this happen? And so we started, and this is really exciting to me. I mean, I heard today that, you know, people want experience, that 30% of all tourists want to learn something. We have a really good example in Thurston County. There's a seafood company up in Seattle called Elliott Bay Seafood. They're, you know, a restaurant, and they advertise everywhere. Well, they also do some ecotourism down here to Thurston County, where they go to Henderson Inlet, where we have cleaned the water enough for shellfish. They charge people like $60 to come down here, you know, harvest oysters, shuck them, and then they take them back and serve them in the restaurant. So they have really free help. And they make money doing it. So, you know, there are so many clever ways that we can get things going here. So next steps. You know, we're going to continue to meet. So if you haven't signed up with Becca to be on our mailing list, you might want to come just to stay connected so that we're all talking to each other.
because this has got a process that's going to be going on. We have talked about signage a lot, so that's our really next big project. We want to say, you know, like the Fruit Loop in Oregon, they have like a little scenic byway. I mean, don't we want to have something so that we can, you know, where tourists can come and drive around and see what the treasures are here in Thurston County. And, you know, Lucas, our new extension director, he is all pumped up about soil types in Thurston County and how can we be the cider apple capital of the world. You know, that kind of energy is what we need to keep this going here in Thurston County. And I'm very excited. So with that, oh, one other thing, we have events. We're going to be having a lot more events in Thurston County. So we need to be sure that we have a keeper of a calendar. And the Visitor and Convention Bureau has a calendar. So of course there's not enough days in a year to be able to, you know, have non-competing uses on a day. So at least you can look and see who you don't mind competing against. So anyway, please go to George's calendar. That would be great. So the last thing I have to say is just go out and cultivate success. And thank you.
A reminder that you have a survey. You turn the survey in over to Becca, and she'll give you Curtis's book, which BCB bought the books to be able to give to you today. We also have that drawing for the recipe book, so if you haven't gotten a ticket yet from Becca, go ahead and put your name and phone number on the ticket over there, and we will draw, and I will call you and deliver the book to you. So thanks again for coming out, and you have 39 minutes to get to the Duck Dash if you want a ticket for the Duck Dash.